It is a special day, a special time of the Pete the Planner Show. Welcome. Who doesn't love a little of this action on a Tuesday morning? Of course, if you're listening on the podcast, my time references are as annoying as ever. Joining me today, as most often, Kristen Elanius, Damian Dunn. Hello.
Hello.
Good day.
Dame in the yellow room today. What color is that paint? Is it like an Irish butter, like a Kilcarney or something like that?
Sure. Yeah, I love your descriptive words there, Pete. We'll go with Irish butter yellow.
Irish butter yellow. By the way, I know it annoys our friends, our audience, when I say, hey, I'm going to tell you guys something off air, and then I tell you guys something off air. But can we all agree that last week's post story about my son's friend playing pranks was well worth the story?
It was very good.
Lived up to the billing. It was awesome.
You know, we all live in a time when it was funnier when it happened sort of thing. That story happens to translate so much that I told it to my dad on Father's Day. Has a slightly different comedic sensibility at 72 years old. He was dying. Like he was like almost crying. He thought it was so funny. Anyway, no one will know. Hi, Kristen. We're doing it this time this week because Murfreesboro calls.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Here,
it?
it's beautiful this time of year.
Yeah, 90 degrees and 97% humidity.
Oh my God.
Is what I'm going to experience. Last soccer tournament of the season.
Really?
Well, the season's over. It's over this weekend, and then you start again in August.
Oh.
Okay.
Anyway, Chris, how are you? You're pregnant, right?
Yeah. Yep. Still pregnant. Thank you. Yep.
Kristen, as a pregnant woman, fun when people say stuff to you, right?
Yeah. I'm going to say this for all the women in your life that have ever bared children.
Yeah.
Just stop. Just stop making comments, visual observations. Even if you think that they're a compliment, they're so not. Like, oh, you don't even look puffy yet. Or
how about the unrequested pats on the tummy? Saying, how you doing?
Yeah, don't touch me.
Okay.
Can I add one? I mean, it feels like we're brainstorming now. Don't scream into a woman's navel. Like Dame?
Do that. You'll scare her.
Not a portal. Yeah.
If I may, don't let's say this microphone is the navel. You don't want to go down there going, how's it going in there? You don't want to do anything like that because that's creepy.
I don't want you to touch me ever, much less when I'm pregnant. Just don't.
Can I note, though, out of fairness to the worst gender men, that there's a lot of friendly fire in that category as well? Like but women are just as bad with the comments and the touching as men are.
Yes, absolutely. I thought you meant like men get a lot of comments too, because my poor person, usually people make the comment that I'm catching him. Is usually what they say when they make a comment about my stomach.
Oh,
that's usually how it goes.
Man, so he catches the shrapnel.
Big time. Or they'll ask him when he's due.
Dame, how was your Father's Day?
Not nearly as dramatic as it sounds like Kristen's weekend might have been. So yeah, it was peaceful. In fact, not a typical Father's Day weekend. My family was actually out of town swimming, and I had another responsibility that I couldn't avoid. So we spent most of Father's Day apart.
As you might imagine, my past weekend involved a lot of soccer moments. Saturday, Latino League Soccer, I hit up the taco truck for the first time at the fields. Yeah. Holy moly. I mean, I shouldn't say holy guacamole, but it was unbelievable. And the funniest thing, my good friend Esteban, I was talking to him afterwards, and he was like, they were good, right? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, how much did they charge you? And I said, why do you ask? He goes, oh, well, I didn't know if you were paying the gringo tax or not. So he was introduced to the possibility But I walk up there, hello, I would like some polo tacos. And then I go tax, what they think.
There it was, 521, right on the queue.
21. So that may have happened. So that was Saturday. And then Sunday, this is sort of fun. Went to Cincinnati to watch the Club World Cup. We saw Bayern Munich, which is a team from Germany, play Auckland City, which is a team from New Zealand. So let me break this down for you real quick for people who care about soccer. What's wrong, Dave?
Just thinking of the logistics for a match like that. But go ahead. Maybe that's where you were going.
Well, I'll tell you this. Bayern Munich, top 5 teams in the world. Unbelievably good, stacked at every position. Their payroll's hundreds of millions of dollars. Auckland City is a second-tier team in New Zealand. So the goalkeeper, also called the goalie, had to take PTO from his warehouse job.
Stop.
And unpaid time off to come to the United States for the Club World Cup. The match was 10-0. And God bless those gentlemen from New Zealand, but I've never seen anything like it in my life. It was crazy. It actually looked like a youth soccer game where the other teams had 2 people and then the other team's the best in the league. It was crazy. But anyway, good time.
New Zealand should have came out in the All Blacks uniforms for the second half.
They should do the haka, whatever. Is that what it's called?
Crush them.
It's funny these days you want to call it the hoka because everyone wears those foamy shoes. Okay. Let's do a show. There's no way Jeremiah is here, by the way.
No way. He's busy. Okay. Let me get prepared for this.
Thank you to you all for your preparation for the show. And as I get to learn what it's about as we get going today.
Excellent.
Which always makes for something, dare I say, unprofessional for me, but whatever. Okay, here we go. Once I knew that I didn't know what it was, I purposely didn't look at what you've done because I just want to live in the moment.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
First live stream.
Hey, no Nintendo. Thanks.
Oh, hey, no Nintendo. First live stream. Let's go. Well, let's go. Vamos, as they say when I'm second in line at the taco truck and get the gringo tax. They were delicious. The funniest thing is I ordered chicken tacos and they gave me steak and I was like, it's fine. But then I was questioning myself, is this what real Mexican chicken tastes like? And I'm like, no, this is actually beef.
Gaslighting yourself into thinking
Oh,
it's a
man.
totally different animal.
I was like, gracias. Gringo. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions. Here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@PeteThePlanner.com. That's askpete@PeteThePlanner.com. And maybe, just maybe, we talk about your question and our answer on the air. I made a plural pronoun there, which means that Kristen Alanius joins me. Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Pete.
And Damian Disco Dunn joins us. Hello, Dame.
Hello, Pete.
I'm sorry. I don't even know what that means. This week's show, given that the rules of money have changed for the three of us with digital currency and how people earn money and spend money, how about with kids? Are the rules for teaching kids about money different now? And what ages should you teach them what? This is very real to me right now as I have an earner who is small and often illogical in my home who recently, after having her license now for 6 days, her favorite topic is how expensive gas is.
I love it.
How many times has she filled up in 6 days?
1. But now that I think about this, I don't know if she paid for the fill up. I feel like she's still coming off of our last fill up for her. And so she's just dreading the fill up coming for her. I fully expect her to have a Biden I did this sticker that the gas pumps used to have several years ago. Anywho, so here's the thing. You have to be intentional about teaching your kids about money. And especially so if no one ever taught you. Because if you have rough money habits, they're just going to watch what you do. Now, summer vacation, which is something I'm not amazing at, is coming up for us. So, the entire household, time slows down a bit, expenses speed up because there's camps and this and that and movies. And our kids ask for stuff every 11 minutes. Kristen, as a future parent, are you prepared for your infant to ask for Venmo?
Oh, I thought you were going to say for something every 11 minutes. And I said, yes, I am prepared for an infant to ask me for something about every 11 minutes.
That's true. But it's tricky, Dame. You and I have for years have had this conversation about teaching kids about money, but it's not until the next step you encounter that you see how challenging the new step is. It's like life in general that way. Of every new experience and exposure that your kids have to money is challenging for the parents.
Yeah, and I learned a long time ago that kids are always watching. Whether you are intentionally trying to teach them something or not, they are paying attention. And this responsibility gets even more it's just scary if you know that you don't have great money habits to start with, because now you've got to try and do as I say, not as I do, or try and teach yourself something that you're not confident you're going to be able to follow through on. So trying to get to a point where you're raising a financially responsible child, preteen, teen, somebody that goes off into their own life after high school can be mentally stressing as well.
Yeah, Dave, you mentioned goals, like what your goals are for raising your kids, financially speaking. Have you thought much about that? Like, you thought about raising a responsible adult specifically with money. Have you gone as far as to establish goals for your small duns?
A great question. I don't know if I don't think I've gone quite to that extent, but it's a really good idea, and one that I'm going to put some serious thought to after the show. Try not to do it right now, so I'm a little bit more present. But that would be really interesting to put that down, because you're going to try and figure out different things for different ages, not just the teaching, but hopefully what they are demonstrating for you at different ages as well, just in general concepts, maybe not in practice, because we can't hold them to standards that we may not hold for ourselves or hit for ourselves on a month-to-month basis. But just trying to teach them a set amount of things that you are working towards, I think is a really great idea.
Let's do this. As the show progresses, you and I can take a swing at our goals as it relates to financial parenting. But Kristen, let's begin with when kids really become aware of wampum, of course, is Native American currency. It's because when you're in elementary school, you learn about different types of money. You always learn about wampum. Dame, you laugh, so you remember that.
Of course, 1,000,000%.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember wampum?
I don't remember learning about other currency.
Like I said, Dame, and each generation learns something different about money. Kristen, ages 3 to 5, learning that money buys things. How do you think that exposure works?
Yeah. So as someone who does not have children, right, this is all textbook knowledge, but it's about that exchange. It's not, kids at that age don't fundamentally understand, and you'll see this in sibling relationships where an older sibling will trade 5 pennies for 1 quarter because the 3-year-old doesn't understand that more is not more when it comes to coins. So it's just teaching them the impact, what exchange is, to say that, hey, this thing costs money and we have to use this money to get what we want.
Yeah, there's something that just triggered in my mind about has money changed of how you teach kids. Dame, you're at a farmer's market. Mm-hmm. You're buying some apple butter because you're from the Midwest. Mm-hmm. And it's $10. You hand over a 20, you get a 10 back. If your kid makes that transaction when they're 4 or 5, it's cute. It's tangible. There's something, as opposed to a parent taking their phone, double clicking a button, and then touching a terminal that then charges it. We've lost the tangible nature of that.
Yeah. And at that point, when we're talking kids in this 3 to 5, 8-year-old range, they don't get it. I mean, they just see that it's a medium of exchange. They don't understand the value that's really happening there. So, which is a fine concept. There's something being exchanged for something else, and eventually they will understand that value has money. So that money has value that could be used somewhere else in other ways. But right now, just knowing that they have to hand something, they have to give something to get something, is a lesson that is well worth instilling early in life.
Kristen, what else as we explore this topic? What other than the currency exchange, what else can we look at there?
Well, I think that as we dive into the other age ranges, maybe now is the best time to shoot this disclaimer out there, which is that, if you're listening to this and as we go through these ages, if you have a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old and you're saying, I didn't do the things that they're talking about, our point is not to call out the misses. It's to say, hey, when we know better, we do better. And these are things that we can be teaching children, and parenting is hard. And we're not here to cast judgment, because I think someone listening to this could feel like maybe that's how this is coming across.
Hey, thank you for saying that. A couple reasons. Number one, this is a take it or leave it. If it's helpful, use it. If it's not, dismiss it. Sometimes as we all absorb content on the socials or whatever's sucking us in, your algorithm gets you to a point of like you're consuming something and you're being told you're doing something wrong, right? These are just little ideas. Like the idea, I know, Kristen, you came up with creating a toy store at home. You don't have to do it, but it's interesting. What is it?
Yeah, you could absolutely, small items at your home. And then again, you have this exchange. If the child has a few coins from some chores they did or a birthday that they had, to say, hey, these items are for sale. And again, it's just teaching that medium of exchange within your own home.
All right, so that's 3 to 6. And let's not forget the lemonade stand, which I could spend 4 hours on. But the lemonade stand is the way to go. We'll touch on that a little bit more up after the break and get into older kids too. All of that's next on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. Is this going to mess up your guys' week because now you think tonight is Friday night?
Yeah, I was just planning on coasting through the rest of the week after the show. I'm sorry.
Oh boy. Great. All right, so let's do this. Let's get into 6 through 10 is next. You got lemonade stands as part of this?
No, but we can squeeze that in there. I mean,
squeeze of the lemonade.
Oh my.
Dame, you live in the middle. Can I? I'm not. You live in the middle of nowhere.
I'm in a town of 15,000. I don't know if that's nowhere.
How far away is your closest neighbor?
100 yards.
Really? A house?
Yeah.
I swore.
It's probably like 75 yards.
How about on the other side?
To the south of me is probably 200 yards.
If I sneezed, I would wet the house next to me.
Yes. The joy of living in a subdivision.
I'm speaking of sneezing. I'll sneeze, and my neighbor will text me, "Bless you." That's how close we live. My point was, Dame, a lemonade stand for your kids, got to be a little tougher to get clientele. No.
Yeah, I mean, we've done something like that during garage sales, which is a real easy way to get some foot traffic there, but. We also happen to live across the street from a golf course. So if we were a little bit more industrial, we could have golf balls that are pulled out of the pond on the hole that's right across the street from the or that's on the hole across the street from us. And just say, hey, need another bullet? Come over here. Give us a buck. You can have another free shot. We won't tell the USGA.
So do you gather golf balls from the pond and then resell them to terrible golfers?
I mean, we could because they not only hit them into the pond, but they hook them over the road and into the field that's to the south of my house. And so usually twice a year, my son and I just walk that field and pick up golf balls. Usually we'll get in the neighborhood of 3 dozen golf balls when we walk the field.
Kristen, you know what's charming about this show? Because this show is charming. Is at any given time our audio is terrible. Like Dame is doing this from inside an espresso machine. Every time he talks, he goes, and that's not criticism, it's honesty. And then at some point, mine will crap out.
I don't know what to do to fix it. I'm sorry.
Is it your SM7B?
Yeah.
So we have some of the finest microphones in the world. Kristen doesn't. We have some of the finest microphones in the world. We've got, what mixer are you? Are you using the Scarlett or the Rode?
Rode.
One of the finest boards in the world. Can't figure it out. Anyway, must be user error.
That's what's the most charming is that Pete points it out and Dame gets so frustrated.
Well, here's the thing. Dame's a really thoughtful person that takes time to think through things and prepare and deliver excellence. So when it happens, it tickles me.
Yeah, when it's out of control, when it's out of my control and it still happens, I know that's when I should probably just, not worry about it quite so much. But Nintendo, appreciate that. But the fact that, you know what, maybe Pete's just gaslit. Maybe these two are just playing a prank on me, saying, oh, there's static and we know it's going to get under his skin. I hadn't considered that, but thank you for putting that seed of doubt into my mind.
In 3, 2, 1. Back on the Pete the Planner show, having a good weekend. I just blended several words, which were no words. What I tried to say was, I hope you're having a delightful weekend. If you're listening on the podcast, as those often do, I don't know what time of week it is. And if you want to experience listening to this at any time you want, go to wherever you get podcasts and search Dumb Money Show. No, Pete the Planner. Pete the Planner. All 3 words. Kristen, today we're talking about how the rules for teaching kids about money changed in the modern era. To some degree, we've already explored the fact that they may. That you're not exchanging paper for goods. You're waving your phone over something, or you're typing with your thumbs to Venmo someone $20 for a gift for the coach or whatever. But let's get into 6 and 10 years old. Between 6 and 10 years old, you were talking about elementary age kids. Not only is commerce important, but this is where you can begin to teach them about savings.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Setting goals up at this stage, I think, is really important to try and just get them to figure out, hey, there's something that we can do with this cash. It has value, and sometimes you need a little bit more of it. So if we can set up that habit now to make sure that they get to the point where saving is just a natural part of their financial lives, is great. But Pete, you brought up a really great way to try and instill kind of that full circle of money for kids. Lemonade stands. Do we want to dig into what lessons just a simple lemonade stand can teach a child going forward?
It might be, trying not to be more dramatic than normal, it might be the perfect tool to teach kids about money. There's supplies, there's marketing, there's pricing, there's customer satisfaction, there's cash flow, there's supply and demand. There's so much there. And in the end, you can really lock in the lessons with what do they get to do with the profits. Kristen, all of us know here, there are 3 sort of things you can do with money. You can spend it, save it, give it. How do you think about 6 to 10 years old, we'll call it the profits, even though sometimes you don't pay mom and dad back for those supplies. And by sometimes, I mean, literally never. What do you think you do? Spend, save, give. What sort of percentages are you thinking?
For me personally, I think it's maybe a little bit too early in this age group to be breaking down percentages and be suggesting that a 6-year-old has the patience to be able to wait to spend their money. So I kind of look at this from the angle of like, maybe you let them manage a budget for something specific that they wanted to do that they can use the profits from the lemonade stand for. So like maybe your family's going to go to, we're here in the Midwest, you're going to Cedar Point for the day. And so they get to use their profits, air quotes, because they didn't pay mom and dad back from that lemonade stand to buy the snacks for the day at Cedar Point. And so you give them that money up front and help them budget that throughout the day, because expecting a 6 to a 10-year-old to keep their money any longer than that is probably pretty unrealistic.
Yeah, Dame, where do tariffs come into this? I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We always did. I mean, if I'm being honest here, we probably did something to the tune of give 40%, spend 40%, save 20%. I think we did something in that regard for the kids. Do you remember what you did?
For myself or our kids?
Well, whatever.
Myself, I don't know if I had anything structure that was taught to me other than that each of those three things were important. I'm sure if my mom is listening to this, she'll send me and tell me if I'm wrong. But for our kids, I guess I don't know if we've been that specifically structured either, other than just trying to emphasize that those are good things. And I'm thrilled to say that both of my kids are very considerate givers. They look for opportunities to give, and then it goes different from there. One of my kids is very much a saver, and one of my kids is only a saver as long as he doesn't have something that he wants to buy immediately. So trying to teach lessons to each of them uniquely for their unique personalities is a challenge. But no, I don't know if we've got anything set in stone on how we try and structure that.
Dame, that's really interesting that you say that, because one of the most common phrases that we say around here, credit to Stacy, is that most of what we know about money is caught and not taught. So in the absence of saying this is a really specific structure, which is okay because you and your wife have these good money habits, your kids have just naturally caught good money habits. It's not that you've necessarily gone out of your way to say this is what you should spend, this is what you should save, etc. And that goes all the way back to Pete's point, maybe I think it was his at the very beginning when he said, how do you teach your kids about money if you're not in a position to always be making the best money decisions yourself?
Yeah, I know we've Pete, you and I have talked about this before, and I'll go ahead and share it briefly. And we're getting a little off track of what the actual topic is supposed to be right now. But my dad owned a small business, and I was around that. I mean, he was very transparent with when he was doing payroll and paying bills, and I just got to watch that, and I knew that was a big part of being a business owner and seeing that you're gonna have to make sure that everybody's getting paid and that you get paid on time so you can take care of everything else that goes along with it. Pete, your father was a small business owner as well. I have to imagine that you were at least saw some of those times as well.
Absolutely. I mean, just unbelievable memories of moments of, we own a plumbing shop, right? So when there would be a ton of rain, and so we'd be taking sump pump calls on Sunday nights, and I'd go into the shop with my dad, and I'd be answering the phone at 10 years old. And I'd say, the name of the shop, this is Peter, can you please hold? And I'm like a little kid, right? Or, your toilets are bolted to the ground with something called a closet bolt. It is a bolt with a nut and some washers on it. And my job, I got a nickel for every one that I pre-assembled, so then the plumbers could take them out on the job and they'd have what they needed. And so, yeah, Dame, when your parents are a business owner and you get a whole other look at this. Now, in the spirit of making our way through the years and the ages of kids, 11 to 13, the tweens, is a pretty interesting category. It's one that I'm just exiting with my youngest, because it's interesting. You'll say, oh, hey, you're going to the game with so-and-so, here's $20. we did that with my daughter once, and she had 2 Mountain Dews and a Milky Way or something like that. And it's just like such an absurd thing that it still makes me cringe. And I believe I have diabetes just thinking about it. And then the other time, what you do with my son is he has a little debit card that we can monitor online. Mm-hmm. And he'll go and he goes with his buddies and he just puts it all in his car. He's like, I got it. And he's like spending all his money. And then he comes home and he goes like, hey, can I have some more money? I spend it all on the boys. And it's like, man, hey, this is perfect because that's not the way any of this works.
Oh, it's a good lesson, though. I mean, he had that moment where he wanted to take care of his friends for whatever reason. And now he gets to learn that money is a finite object and instrument in our lives. And you've got to make good decisions so you don't find yourself in a pinch later on. So great lesson for the future current soccer star.
Yeah, Kristen, if you need some old man advice from Dame and I, let me give it to you now as it relates to money for a 10-year-old, which is going to be relevant to you in 10 and a half years, which will then be different. And it's this very simple thing as we head to break. You send money with them somewhere, the place doesn't actually accept money. They accept only digital exchanges. So that's always fun. As a parent, sending a card with them. It's with that we take a break. Coming up after the break, teens. Can't live with them. Can't live without them. How do you teach them about money? I'm Pete the Planner. Teens.
I was frantically, I don't think I can reach it, but I've got a box in this office of some of my dad's papers, and I was going to pull out a check register real quick.
Man, I was thinking about this weekend because I was talking to my friend Esteban and his son Santi about work, and I said, man, my favorite thing as a kid was to go to my dad's plumbing shop, just run around the warehouse. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. It was, I don't even know why. It was the greatest thing in the world. I loved it. Do you remember? I mean, you have to remember that day.
Yeah, I went to work my dad had a relationship with one of the companies from the time before I was born till the time he passed, and it was a small town, so still a small town. And he took me in, when I was months old, and the president of the company said, "No, I'll take care of him. You go do what you need to do," and walked me around on the factory floor. And I was the third generation of that family he said to work for that company at that point. And little did he know that eventually I would take over that and work there as well. But yeah, from a very, very, very young age, I remember going to work with Dad. It was a blast.
Kristen, thanks for playing in the show this week.
You're welcome.
Dame, did you help too?
Kristen?
Next week's show is Dame's.
Oh, what do you guys want to give me the topic for next week? I mean, does that feel like something we want to do?
Does it have a title?
I don't know. Let me check real quick.
Money with Kristen and Co.
Confidence in the chaos. How to trust your portfolio over the long haul.
Obviously there's been a lot of chaos. Let me give you a little preview of a show. I have no idea what it's about, but here's what we're going to do. Kristen is so annoying. Kristen's rip Kristen's eye sockets because they just rolled out of the back of her head. Let me think about this for a second. The last 2 months since Liberation Day, we're still feeling quite liberated. The market was chaos. Dame, I didn't reconsider a single investment. I didn't even not even half of a consideration moment of just like, should I? I was just like, who cares? I mean, honestly, who cares?
Yeah. That's one of the keys to navigating chaos. But
is apathy.
Not quite apathy, but we'll get to it.
Okay. Well, hey, let's do this. I mean, we're flying through today.
It's because Jeremiah's not here to distract us.
Because it's Tuesday, and man, the day's a little stacked up. Okay. Let's do this.
Pete's doing a great job. Everybody's happy with him.
3, 2. Back on the Pete the Planner show talking, money is different. You have to use your phone or Venmo or PayPal or WhatsApp or Cash App You don't use WhatsApp for money. And so it's with that, we talk about how do you teach your kids about money in the modern era. Dame, we're on to teenagers, where all money mistakes begin.
Yeah.
Man, I think about the dumb stuff I did through, well, age probably 35.
Yeah.
But it all started when you had disposable income as a young teen. You remember doing dumb stuff? I mean, other than this past weekend, but like as a teen?
All the time. I just thinking, I got to get this. I got to get that. Spending money on completely worthless things that you knew were going to last maybe a couple months and then move on. But it's part of the experience. So, Kristen, you're way more mature than Pete and I at any age. Did you make any of these silly mistakes as well?
No.
Not really, but I didn't. I didn't really have a choice, you guys. My mom, we had to get approval to spend like birthday money, or like Christmas money or whatever. And if she didn't approve the purchase, then we couldn't spend it. So I had an extra layer of protection by way of my mother.
I feel like we have to have a somewhat honest and uncomfortable conversation about capitalism right now. I feel like that's part of this. I know there is a not anti-capitalist movement, but there's definitely more examination the last few decades about the ills of capitalism and the harsh realities of capitalism. And I'm not here to ignore them. I'm here to listen to them, quite frankly. That being said, I think when you're teaching a kid about money, especially a teen, you're trying to get them to deeply understand capitalism. That's been my view of it. Is it dark? Is it overly simplistic, arguably reductive? Maybe. But I just want my kids, here's my goal, to want to work and to want to feel what the byproduct of work, income, can do for them. And that might be gross, but it's honest. That's kind of where I'm at. I love that my daughter has 2 jobs this summer. She said the other day, my account's getting low. I need to fill it back up. Great. That's all I want. Dame, you and I are the same for the most part. Are we different about this, or do you think similar there?
I don't take quite as cynical view of capitalism. So I don't see it quite in the same way as you do. I think there are many opportunities that are available to individuals of every economic or socioeconomic strata in America through capitalism. If you choose to take advantage of it, great. And if you don't, there'll be consequences for that as well. So, but yeah, when it comes down to teaching kids, I want them to understand that if they put the effort out, there can be monetary reward for that. And if you choose to be a little overachiever in that area, sometimes it works out really, really well for you. Sometimes you learn the lesson, and that's the reward for having that hustle. But if you put your talents and your skills and your effort towards something, usually you can get paid off. I think my oldest this year has 3 jobs right now.
Kristen, how do you think about this? You got to hear about 2 old guys talk about capitalism, and maybe the question isn't even about capitalism, but it's about what you're trying to get teens to understand about money. Can you push this too far to the point where you get them money hungry in a negative way?
Yeah, absolutely. You can turn someone's curiosity into something that is ultimately anxiety inducing and causes more harm than good over the long term. And that's a really scary thing to face because, especially if this is, you're most of us are going to be, you're a parent for the first time, right? Like the 2 of you, your oldest children have jobs for the first time. These are the things that you're teaching them for the first time. Yeah, this is their first job, but it's your first time teaching a kid about the value of money through work. So you can definitely take it too far.
All right, Dame. We try not to do tough guy rules here. We try not to do, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reasonable perspective that says an able teen shouldn't have a job? Is there a feasible idea that is going to translate into fiscal success for a young person to say, my kid doesn't need a job until they get out of college? Is that, no, we're not trying to shame anybody, but is that possible?
I think it's possible. I don't know if it's always healthy, but I think it's possible. This is way more common than it was when you and I were kids, but kids are so active with sports year round now that they simply don't have the time to keep up on their studies, pursue their athletic endeavors or music or theater, whatever it is. The demands placed on kids for their time these days, which could be an entire other conversation, are tremendous. And to expect them to squeeze in, 10 hours a week, 8 hours a week, even finding an employer who may be willing to give them that kind of opportunity might be really tough. You do have some advantages if you, the parent, have a business where you can still, find time for them to do it. But I think it's a big challenge to try and get kids to the level of involvement in their interests, and then also teach them the lesson about working and employment and that side of the money equation as well. I think it's a really big challenge.
Kristen, we set out to not judge people for the decisions they make parenting wise, but is it a conceivable successful path to have a teen that never works?
I never did.
You never worked?
Not as a teenager, no. My job was
breaking news.
My job was school and activities and getting into a good college. And if I wasn't doing what I needed to do to be successful at those things, then I had to have a job. But as long as I made good grades and was really involved, then I didn't have to have one.
What did you do during the summers, like 16, 17, 18?
Gonna make fun.
Of course. Have we met?
So I was a bandee, and we started summer band very early. And so we had multiple practices a week. When I was younger in high school, volleyball conditioning was multiple days a week. So it was like you had sport and or band. My freshman year, I was just as busy in the summer as I was during the school year.
Have we talked what instrument? Don't tell me, because have we talked about this?
Yeah, actually at 2 reunions ago in a small group with Molly.
What's wrong with you? How do you remember these things?
Because it was a bonding moment for Molly and I.
Oh, Dame, I don't remember any of what she just said, but she's got big clarinet energy. What did you play?
The saxophone.
Oh, yeah, seemed like a clarinetist to me.
Woodwind.
I still have woodwind. Yeah. Interesting. I think here's a terrible metaphor that I'm going to regret for years. When you start dating, when you're a teen, all of those people are just practice boyfriends and girlfriends. Like they're not your life mate. They're a special friend at best, but they're practice. We're talking about practice.
Where we go.
Fine. It's understood and it's okay. And that's why I think job as a teen, as you mess up, as you get fired, you're late, you earn money, you do dumb things, like it's practice. And so for me, I don't want high stakes on a real first job for my kid as it becomes to like dealing with money. So that's how I think about it. Practice girlfriends is how I think about it. How much am I going to regret that?
I don't know. Nobody listens to this. Yeah, you're right.
You say no one listens to this. So true. Anyway, coming up after the break, biggest waste of money of the week in the news. I'm Pete the Planner. Big Rick Swink says the saxophone is kind of like a big clarinet. He's kind of right.
He and I are no longer friends.
There's the Rev. Reverend Renfro says, I have an only if I can't read.
Only of an dollars. She just started marching band camp as well.
It's involved.
No, I look, I'm not going to make fun of band kids. I'm not 16. I think it's my 16-year-old me probably did, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
you were my high school bully, probably.
I wasn't a bully. I was judgmental internally, but definitely not a bully. I think that's great. A kid has any activity, right? It's great. It's wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about this week's biggest waste of money. In the 30 seconds I put into the effort to get it done, I think it's going to be a big payoff.
I hope it's better than last week.
I don't know. I did well last week. You're just upset because you didn't.
Yeah, but I just sometimes the items are so hard to guess.
This one is in your wheelhouse, Queen.
Oh man.
Yay.
That's why I like it.
Wait, was that to me or to Damien?
It's a queen.
He calls you queen often.
That's true.
He calls us queens.
Yeah, well, look, doesn't matter. It's adjacent to your interest, Kristen, but close enough.
Okay. I'm concerned.
I really want to see what this is. If he thinks it's adjacent to your interests, I mean,
No, it is.
What if
Like,
it's not?
do you know me?
Animals.
Oh,
True.
okay. All right.
I'm very interested in
Shut your pie hole, Queen. Bald
that
Queen.
was Damien.
Hey, Peter, can you join us tomorrow on the news to talk about the rate decision tomorrow, Trump and tariffs, 6 a.m. What do we think? We going to do that?
Peter?
Hmm?
Peter?
They might.
That's professional me.
Mind you squeezing out some leg press while you're doing that?
Well, workout starts at 6:30. So what I do is I come in before that, get the segment done, drink my pre-workout as the segment's starting. So I get a little bit, cheers. And then I go and lift. And then I take care of myself and I come here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Let's commit to this right now. Let's do it. All right. Let's get that out there.
I will be snoozing.
I'm a firm 455 at this point. I can't not. It sucks. Actually, I don't mind it because I get a lot done, but it is very, I think like death is coming or something. I don't know. I'm just like, what?
As long as you don't post a picture of your Apple Watch on your Instagram story like Jocko.
Oh, he's up to
Apple
watch now?
Oh, I was just being obnoxious. I was saying like Pete's Apple Watch.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I don't wear one anymore. It was stressing me out. It was just another anxiety point for me. My Apple Watch.
I ditched mine. I'm back to the old school watch.
It was the text coming through that I was just like,
There's never mind.
3, 2, 1. This week's biggest waste of money of the week, right here on the Pleat the Planner Show. That's the Pleat the Planner Show. Specialize in pleated khakis. Savannah F1 kittens. Savannah F1 kittens, created by crossing an African serval with a domestic cat. Savannah cats offer larger sizes and exotic spotted coats with fewer undesirable wild traits. Long legs, long bodies, large ears. That's like Dame. Sorry, that's not even true. Stand upright and have bands on the rear and tear streaks around the eyes. Help give them a wild look. The earliest generations, F1 and F1 HP, which is serval crossed with an F1 Savannah, are typically the largest and most desirable. While desirable, they mean people want to have them.
Correct.
Not as attractive. While higher numbers indicate less wild bloodlines and more domesticated traits. While multiple breeders exist, Savannah, California offers TICA registered kittens who grow up around children and other pets, so they adapt well to different environments. All right, so this cat, it's kind of cool looking, but it looks like it looks like the Tiger King was involved, you know?
Indeed.
Kristen, what does a Savannah F1 kitten cost?
This is the best, biggest waste of money you've had
I told you.
for 2 reasons.
Okay.
1, this cat is going to have every health problem under the sun. So it's not only a big waste of money at the beginning of the purchase, but forevermore. And two, because people don't know breeds of cats. When you ask someone what kind of cat they have, they describe it by color. Our cat's orange. Our cat is brown. No one knows what a Savannah cat is. This is a huge waste of money. I have no idea how much it costs. So I'm going to guess these kittens are $2,500.
May I just say, if you ask our finance guy, Blake, about cats, what type he has, he'll say he has a good little girl. We just want you to know that out of respect to him and Lana. Dame?
For the F1 cat, I'm curious, is there a NASCAR cat coming next?
Yeah, they're the strays.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be wildly overpriced. I'm going to go with like 10 grand a cat.
$18,000 is the starting price.
Yeah.
To have a cat that might eat
Kill your kids. Yeah.
your neck.
I mean, the copy was written very specifically on that because there's no guarantee that it won't just kill you in your sleep.
Dame, what's in the news this week?
Break out the points calculators. American Express and Chase are back at it, battling for the wallets of high-spending travelers and foodies. Amex just announced it's giving its Platinum card a fall refresh. And that comes days after Chase teased new perks for its Sapphire Reserve, possibly including a business version and a steep annual fee hike. Of course, there's a steep annual fee hike. Rumor has it both cards could top out at blank dollars a year to hold them. How much is the annual fee proposed for these cards?
$1,200 American dollars.
That would be over a 100% increase, I think. I'm going to say 900. They kept it under 1,000.
$795 a year is what they're projecting. But more glitz. Amex is adding new airport lounges in 3 cities. Pete, let's check off how many of these you've been to. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
Newark.
Wait, someone is putting an airport lounge in Newark?
Yes. Newark.
No one's flying to Newark anymore. They're terrified. I've been there a million times, unfortunately.
They might now. Salt Lake City.
Of course. Unbelievable airport. That one concourse is like 2 miles long.
And Tokyo.
Hopefully next summer, frankly.
Hey, both issuers are expected to sweeten travel and dining rewards. Amex's recent acquisition of reservation platform Tock could add 7,000 new restaurants to the Platinum Card's playbook. The big target, Gen Z. Amex says younger users see premium cards like subscriptions. Lock them in early and they'll stay loyal for decades, touting a blank % retention rate.
Of Gen Z?
Yep.
I bet the retention rate of Gen Z, well, first of all, how long have they been able to have cards of their own? But I bet it's like 70%.
That my guess was 70, 75.
98%.
Holy Moses, this is a brilliant idea.
$795 a year, 98% retention rate.
That's
next week on the Pete the Planner Show. How not to spend $798 a year on a credit card.
Make your employer do it.
Dane, what else is in the news?
For the first time ever, ad revenue from user-generated content is set to surpass professionally produced media this year. In other words, TikTokers are now raking in more ad dollars than TV studios. Why? Well, when the economy is shaky, brands would rather bet on creators with loyal followings than pay premium rates to a high-end agency. And the creator economy isn't just surviving, it's booming. At the Cannes Lions Advertising Festival this week, industry leaders and influencers are deep in talks about building long-term businesses. Even Unilever is getting in on it, saying that it plans to hire 20 times more influencers as part of its social-first marketing push. Creators aren't just selling makeup anymore. They're making branded content for everything from sandwich bags to sanitizing wipes. It's working. The global influencer marketing industry is on track to hit $33 billion next year. Not bad for a side hustle that started with dance videos and skincare routines.
You know, I'm obviously an old curmudgeon who gets really frustrated at influencers, but on some level, like things like Mr. Beast is doing, where he started a chocolate company, or even Kylie Jenner starting her makeup company, or whatever Justin Bieber's wife is, Hailey Bieber, maybe, starting a makeup company where you already are famous, you already have an audience, and then you start a business. I respect it so much.
they're just leveraging something they've already got, and it's just like printing money.
Yeah, Kristen, I mean, were you around in you couldn't have been in the original Paris Hilton days?
Oh yeah.
What was that show? The Simple Life?
A simpleton? Was it called a simpleton? What was it called?
Might have been
No, it
simple.
was her and Nicole Richie.
Yeah.
They would like live on like farms and stuff.
Yeah. So what they had not figured out is how to truly monetize their fame. And that's been the evolution. And so that, again, I don't want to get into respect because it starts to get a little silly, but that's compelling. That is an interesting thing. As I was at the gym the other day, it was like 5:45 a.m. This woman is doing deadlifts and she's videoing herself and like doing all sorts of things. And I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed because I'm in the background of it and I didn't want to be. But the second thing I was like, maybe this is how she makes a living. Maybe she's on there and she's like,
So?
I was giving her credit.
No, but I'm talking about people videoing in public.
No, it's gross because I don't want to be a part of it. I did not ask to be in the background looking like beige Shrek, you know? But yeah, I mean, I've softened on the position of influencers despite the fact that they absolutely drive me insane.
And
Have you softened yet?
everybody thinks they can be an influencer too, and it's not going to work for the vast majority of people.
Sometimes my early takes on influencers, like 10 years ago, maybe less, it starts to feel like when Bryant Gumbel was talking about how the internet is a fad on the Today Show. Like I feel it won't last.
Yeah, it's just smoke and mirrors.
Time for one more, sir.
You know what? Let's just keep the conversation going because the other stories really aren't that good.
Boy, in improv, that's called a no but, which usually just kills conversations.
Sorry.
That's quite all right. All right. So let's do this. Next week on the show, we are talking about investing. We're talking about the market, the chaos, and ultimately what we're trying to do is to build resiliency in your brain so that you never fall prey to the pressures of panic, because that is real. In fact, I think that's the topic next week. We will be on our normal time on Friday for the streamers, for the podcast, same, and for the radio. Hey, we're consistent that way. You get it when you get it. Send you good vibes, because good vibes are all that's in the budget. That's Kristen. Say hello.
Hello.
That's Dame. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And this is the Pete the Planner Show. You want to talk about the worst outro in the 15 years of this show? There it was.
Didn't give you much to work with there. Sorry.
No Savannah F1 kitty for you for Christmas.
No, I was trying to come up with the chairman of F1, Bernie Kleston. I don't remember his last name, but
if you, I would have had it if you Ecclestone, Bernie Ecclestone.
That's it.
Go adopt a free cat.
Seriously.
I don't know. Okay, I started reading emails and texts, so this is how I know I've got to go.
Time to go.
I love you all. And by all, I mean everyone. My love is inclusive. I'm sorry. Kristen, Dame, I was going to say have a good weekend, but not yet. Queens, it's work. And everyone else, stay getting money.